We are standing at the start of something absolutely amazing, a part of American history. This is indeed the start-finish line, the very first Watkins Glen. This being 1948 race, organized by local Cameron Arjot-Singer, won by Frank Griswold, an Alfa Romeo 8C of all things. But this history being made here, this little hamlet, this little upstate New York town, the first major motor race held in the U.S. after World War II, and what a tradition it has become. From that 1948 start through 1952, a 6.6-mile street course around the town. From 53 to 55, it got shortened to 4.6 miles. And then a bigger idea. What if we took this off of the streets and built something permanent up on the hill, the track we know today as Watkins Glen International? It's become part of our true tradition and history here in IMSA, the International Motorsports Association. Let's talk about that, learn about IMSA here at Watkins Glen, a true staple of our history. It was round 8 of 10 in 1972, taking place on September 10, 500-kilometer endurance race. The number 59, Peter Gregg, entered Porsche 911S from Self and Hurley Haywood. He won IMSA's first race here. A long break followed. By 1984, a return was scheduled, headlined by the new GTP class, where the Watkins Glen 6-hour made its debut. The event was won by Holbert Racing, and with the new Porsche 962 GTP model, by 1985, IMSA started making multiple annual visits to Watkins Glen as endurance sports car racing took off in popularity. By 1991, NASCAR's Busch Grand National Series, today's Xfinity Series, was added to the bill, which made for a fun doubleheader that had staying power. Once 1997 arrived, as North American sports car racing went through a series of splits and ownership changes, the last Watkins Glen 6-hour was held on June 1st under the series we know of as IMSA. Watkins Glen made its return in 2000 as part of the new Grand Am Rolex Series Championship founded by Jim France. And it's here where the annual trip to upstate New York began an unbroken streak, where the beloved Salem 6 Hours of the Glen has taken place through the conclusion of Grand Am in 2013, continues today in the modern version of IMSA, blended Grand Am with the former American Le Mans Series starting in 2014. Huge manufacturer milestones have been written at Watkins Glen, starting with BMW's first GTP victory, which came in 1986. BMW's first win in the new hybrid GTP era also happened here in 2023. After years of coming close, Mazda finally broke through in 2019 with their DPI, which was celebrated by then Mazda Motorsports president John Doonan, who serves as IMSA's president today. Like years of an incredibly heavy weight been lifted from their collective shoulders. And while it wasn't the Porsche 963 Hybrid's first IMSA win, there was a beautiful piece of symmetry as last year, with Porsche Penske Motorsport, the factory Porsche team won in 2024, 40 years after Al Holbert, Derek Bell, and Jim Adams won with their factory 962 in 1984. We'll spend a moment with our friend Mark Raffauf, IMSA's longest tenured employee. He's been here at Watkins Glen since almost day one. He has some amazing recollections to share.
A lot of people may not remember, but we were the ones that reopened the facility after it went bankrupt from too many Formula One bills in the prior life. And it's really the start of road racing in the United States here on the original course. But IMSA came back here in '84, if I recall, and we did a unique 2-3-hour format, 3 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday, 6-hour event along with some support races, and it went really well. But coming back here before that, in the process of kind of reopening, it was kind of fun to be here when it laid fallow for a few years. I mean, the grass was knee-high, the buildings were pretty decrepit, the fences were falling down, but between Corning and ISC at the time, International Speedway Corporation, they cleaned it up and we went racing, and soon enough, after a while, we then had a Busch Series race with us on Saturday, and then we played them in softball and got our asses beat every time because we had a bunch of foreign guys that didn't even know how to play baseball. That was another thing we haven't really discussed, but we'd go down to the park there in Corning and trying to teach Brabham and Fangio and stuff how to play baseball was a challenge, to say the least. So that, and then the racing side, I mean, we had some amazing things. You mentioned Lynn St. James, who I think today is still the only woman to have won a major IMSA category race solo. in a GTO and a Roush Mustang. Her co-driver at the time was Whitney Gantz, who I just happened to talk to a couple of weeks ago. Said, yeah, I get paid for doing nothing. She just never got out of the car and just kept going. So that was cool. Obviously, cars, the GTP era here was spectacular. We had cars going down the back straightaway, which at that time was rather, I don't want to call it bumpy, it was wavy. So a lot of times they would hit the tops of the asphalt waves because there really was no drainage here. It's built on a rock. So at the wintertime, whatever water was under the track would freeze, and then it would drop, and then you get these waves in the asphalt. And then other things, when we got to the 90s, we had the debut of the only Bugatti EB110 race car, which was built as a GTS, GTO IMSA car. I think it did run in Europe after coming here. We had some great battles between Dyson's Ford Rileys and Moretti and Evans in the 333 SPs, with Pappas having a stellar drive here, coming from behind and passing the Dyson car, I think with 2 laps to go going into turn 1. But the place is iconic. You still drive down main drag in Watkins Glen, it kind of looks like the way it did in 1984. It's not really changed, but it embodies, I think, a lot of the history of the support comes from here, this place.
It's late June, which in the world of IMSA means we're at Watkins Glen International and loving everything about this incredible region and its most amazing race course. Watch us this season on NBC and Peacock. Be sure to subscribe to IMSA on YouTube and enjoy our brand new IMSA Endurance Hour podcast. And if you're interested in digital activation in motorsports, visit IMSA.com/partnership.